The Executive Director of Center for Constitutional Governance, Sarah Bireete, is to miss the forthcoming general elections on January 15th after the Buganda Road Court has remanded her to Lizira prison until 21st of January 2026.
Prosecution is granted time to prepare a reply to this application. Application shall be revisited on the 21st of January 2026. The accused person will be kept on remand till then.
After spending 4 days in police cells beyond the mandated 48 hours, Berete has today been presented before court and on charges of unlawful obtaining and disclosing of national voters' information without consent from the Electoral Commission. She has, however, denied the charges and attempted to apply for bail before Grade 1 Magistrate Wininansha Chetiko. Berete, through her lawyer, Jude Byamukama, has presented 4 sureties, including Joseph Bayanga, Winnikiza, Joseph Osheno, and Ambassador Edith Sempala, and further explained to the magistrate that she is hypertensive and will not abscond to bail. But the prosecution, represented by John Keiko, asked to be afforded more time to verify the particulars of the accused and also respond to Berete's bail application. The magistrate has granted a 3-week adjournment to the state and henceforth remanded Berete to prison until 21st January. Prosecution alleges that Berete, a lawyer by profession, between January and December 2025 at various places within Kampala, Mukono and Wakiso district, unlawfully obtained or disclosed national voters' information data which is controlled and processed by the Electoral Commission.
Sarah Bireete and others still at large. Berete are still at large between the month of January 2025 and December 2025 at various places within Uganda, including Kampala, Mukono, and Wakiso districts. You unlawfully obtained or disclosed data to which national voters' information controlled or processed by the Electoral Commission without prior consent of the said Electoral Commission. Is this true?
Not true.
Reacting to the court decision, political critic Miriam Matembe strongly criticized the ruling, saying she was shocked by the magistrate's decision to adjourn the bail application to January 21st, 2026.
The first time now, in my heart, I'm regretting why I fought for women to be set free. To go and sit in a court and be a judge or a magistrate, and you judge like the way I have seen.
Matembe said Berete has been charged with unlawful obtaining or disclosing of personal data under Section 35 of the Data Protection and Privacy Act, yet the state admitted that investigations are still ongoing.
But the case they are bringing forward is that our Sarah revealed information of Electoral Commission or something without without the consent. So now question is, who is the complainant in this case? And now when we came to apply for the bail, we applied and gave everything, and we have distinguished, sureties, and everything was available. And the prosecutor stand up, he doesn't object. She didn't object to bail. And she's also a woman, Banange. These young women.
She described the remand as a punishment rather than a normal court process, arguing that giving the state nearly 20 days to respond to a bail application goes against the Constitution and the bail guidelines issued by the Chief Justice. According to Matembe, the decision effectively keeps Berete in prison until after the elections, which she believes was deliberate.
And I looked at this cigar, I stood there. I wanted her to see my face. She never opened her eyes up to see me. I don't know what I would have done if she looked at me. Maybe I would have been arrested in this court.
Berete's lawyers are also disappointed, saying they had presented credible and well-known sureties, but the court still declined to grant her bail. They insist that their client has in effect been sentenced to 20 days in prison without due process.
I've never seen such a situation where the state needs 20 days to respond to a bail application, and it's very unfortunate. It contravenes the Constitution, even the bail guidelines, which were enacted by the Chief Justice.
Meanwhile, the National Unity Platform Secretary General David Louis Rubongoya condemned the arrest and remand, describing it as politically motivated. He said Berete was targeted because of her outspoken views on electoral loopholes.
We all know that this information is public. Usually the Electoral Commission gives all political parties the voters register, and therefore it becomes a public document. So if NUP gets a document of that nature, and then different people, for example, many people have been coming to us and requesting for a copy, and we've been giving it to everybody who comes because this document is a public document. How can you say that someone is releasing data illegally or something like that?
The Uganda Law Society also criticized the judiciary, saying the arrest, detention, and court process violated Berete's human rights. The body said it was troubling that courts appear to be working in the interests of the state rather than protecting citizens.
From the 30th day of December, that was last week, everything was wrong with the arrest. We saw police, attack her home, arrest her. In fact, it was more of an abduction. They took her to Natete police station. They are telling us the file is at CPS being handled by KMP. We tried to follow up with police because we were sure they would not be able to produce her in court within 48 hours. And at least she has a right to police bond. It was clear that they're not going to grant her bond. The only thing was we shall produce her in court. It was also very clear that at that time they were not even sure the charges that they were going to put on her.
The Law Society called on the judiciary to act independently and uphold the rule of law, saying the continued remand of Sarah Bireete sends a dangerous signal about access to justice ahead of the general elections. It should be recalled that on 22nd December 2020, in the heat of the 2021 election campaigns, Nicholas Opio, then Executive Director of Chapter 4, was arrested by plainclothed security operatives and detained. Opio, who would later be charged for money laundering on December 24th, had been arrested in the company of 4 other human rights lawyers, Herbert Dakasi, Esomo Obure, Anthony Odur, and Hamid Tenua. After spending Christmas in Chitalia prison, Nicholas Opio was released on 15 million shillings cash bail on 31st December 2020. The charges against him were dropped on 13th September 2021 without the matter going to trial or any evidence supporting them. The dropping of the charges against Nicholas Opio came days after the anti-corruption judge Lawrence Gidudu gave the state a 7-day ultimatum to either conclude the investigations and commit him to the High Court for trial or have the cases terminated for delayed prosecution. Then DPP Jane Frances Abodo, who is now the principal judge, wrote back to Gidudu stating that her office had decided to discontinue proceedings against Opio. To that effect, the presiding magistrate, Moses Nambede, discontinued the said charges against Opio and freed him. The magistrate further ordered the state to refund 15 million shillings, which Opio had deposited as one of the conditions for his release. What is now left to be seen is how Sarah Bireete's case will be treated. Lydia Feli Akulu, NTV Weekend Edition.